What happens with the podcast is Jammer we'll have this good conversation, and I'll be like, Jammer,
Yeah.
this should be part of the show. And he goes, okay, yeah, you're right. And then he starts the recording. And then he goes, hello, and welcome to da 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 da. And then he just like launches into the show. I'm like, no, like keep the banter going. He's like, what? Oh, whatever. And then like it's just lost.
But I'm glad for the rough off, because I can already feel this is the first conversation I've had this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So my brain is still warming up. Like I'm buffering and everything. So I'm glad we had the warm up.
Yeah, but the warm up could have been like, I feel like, so the One Piece conversation, like discovering what you're into, like that could be the show. Jerry. This could be the show.
Okay, I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to make sure I only have one mic plugged in, because I still am haunted by the fact that I was on the show once and I was hacking in the background thinking my microphone was muted and it was not. So don't lie to me, but tell me if you can hear me hacking.
I will do my best. Do you have any interest in doing any news?
I mean, I'm not up on stuff, but I'll.
Did you watch K-pop Demon Hunters?
No.
Damn. Really? I'm shocked.
Really?
Why?
Shocked. I've never. Oh, is that sarcasm?
No. I'm surprised.
I've never been into K-pop. Oh wait, no, that was an anime. Joe linked me a trailer, and I said the music immediately took me out, and he said, "Well, it's a K-pop musical TV show." So, and I said, Oh, you know what? It ended up being this very stupid reference to, you remember home movies from Adult Swim?
Yeah.
I don't mind shows that incorporate music if the music is funny or entertaining. And I said, I will still get Franz Kafka rock opera stuck in my head, and that has to be a 20-year-old TV show. So if I liked the music from that trailer, I probably would have watched it. But since it took me out instantly, I just couldn't do it.
All right.
So much information just to say I didn't watch it.
Well, which is funny, because the news story that I was going to talk to you about was the fact that Golden is not only has it reached at least number 2 on the worldwide Billboard charts.
Funny.
Netflix is going to submit it for an Oscar for Best Original Song. So like it's reached that level of like.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So, but since you didn't do it, we won't do it. Brace. Hello and welcome to InkHaus Radio, your premier source for anime, manga, comic book, stuff like that. Jammer couldn't be here today, so I'm your host, Brandon Jones, and you're getting an upgrade. Tanya Watson is here, joining us from the olden days. What's going on, Tanya?
Not much. Thank you for having me.
No, I'm super excited you're here. No pun intended. I needed backup because I was super excited to have a conversation about Superman and maybe some K-pop stuff, but you're not into the K-pop stuff, which I am surprised. I am surprised.
Maybe you'll sell me on it.
I don't know. Like if you saw the trailer for K-pop Demon Hunters and it didn't do the thing for you. Well, actually, you know what? I take that back. You know why I take that back? I saw the trailer for K-pop Demon Hunters. I was like, nah, I'm not into it. And but for this show and but for my kids, I probably never would have watched it. But then I ended up really liking it. So this is probably one of the few movies where I did not like the trailer, but was really into what I saw.
I'm always open to putting something on the ever-expanding list of things I will get to.
It's on the list.
Yes, it's on the list.
All right. So we are here to have a conversation about Superman. This is weird because it's been a while since I've done a review this way. So let's try it this way. So Tanya, let's start with like your 30-second impressions of it overall, and then we'll get into it like the deep dive after I give mine as well.
Okay, 30-second overall impressions. I was surprised at how neutral my expectations were, and I think it's because it was James Gunn. So I did not go in thinking, oh, this is going to be whatever. But I wasn't like hopeful that this is going to be Christopher Reeve in my childhood all over again. So I went in neutral. And I will say I was able to form what I like about James Gunn's style, which is he can create these very warm, wholesome moments that bring emotion out of you that don't feel forced, while absolutely murdering people and having body horror in the background that rivals Darren Aronofsky. And if you're a weirdo who's also hopeful and loves to see just these sweet, beautiful moments, you will love this Superman.
Okay. I'm a little surprised that you liked it as much as you did.
Really?
Yeah, I just am. Maybe it's been a while since we've done this, and I'm just like, man.
I am a mopey bastard. Oh, can I say that? I am a bastard. But that's an old one. That's an old one.
It is an old one. I came in actually with pretty high expectations. I have an impression of James Gunn films generally. I think he just does not miss, at least in my opinion. Where it might not be the best movie of all time, but to your point, like he is consistently good at drawing out emotions. I am always entertained, even if so like with Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I was like, I don't know, but there's just so many moments of brilliance in that film. And that's how I felt in this, where while the story I had issues with, I thought that the characterizations that they had in this were absolutely fantastic. I walked away from this going like, I want to see these characters again and again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
Even if this story didn't do it for me, I was sold. I was sold on who Superman was in this. And the other big lift that this thing had to do, I'm going to ask you about this later, what you think. Like it has to introduce us to the live action version of the DC universe, this new DC universe that they're doing. And I thought that they did that. And I felt like this was a lived in world where metahumans could exist alongside regular people. And I want to see what happens next. So.
I am so excited about this conversation because I did have this kind of criticism that I had trouble putting into words. But if I was going through the roster of how would I describe this, what you said, I wonder if we're going to be describing the same thing in very different ways. So let's get this going.
Okay.
So is this spoiler or non-spoiler? I didn't do my homework.
That was it. That was the non-spoiler impression / review of Superman. And so now we're going to get into spoilers. So like if spoilers for everything within the DCU, everything that we know about Superman. So just be careful, be done, go see the movie. But now go ahead. Like, do you want to try to explain the thing, or do you want me to give more of what I thought? To help you figure out
let's see if this resonates with you.
Okay.
As I was watching the movie, something about it didn't feel tight, but when I thought back to each scene, I was like, I can't think of a scene that felt superfluous or just didn't belong or was out of, like, maybe it was the way things were ordered. It was just something about it that just didn't feel tight. Like I felt the 2 hours and 9 minutes, but I also enjoyed the 2 hours and 9 minutes. So I could not put my finger on what is it about this that doesn't feel like bop, bop, bop.
Yep.
But it was such a minor criticism. It didn't take my overall, like, I still enjoyed it.
So for me, I felt the exact same thing. And the way that I tried to vocalize it was there was this guy who's getting just torched online. I haven't seen his entire review, but the phrase that he used was comic booky. And people were like really pissed at him for saying that a comic book movie was comic booky. But I kind of agree from this perspective. It feels a little disjointed. There are things in this, and the narrative isn't as tight as I would expect a James Gunn movie to be. So like I'll start with the beginning. There's a crawl that happens in the beginning. I thought it was completely unnecessary. And I think that
the 300 years, 3 decades, 3 minutes. I thought that was funny.
So I didn't laugh. So there were two aspects to why I didn't laugh. And the first one is easy to explain. This scene, like the first 15, 20 minutes of the movie, we've seen in the trailer for months leading up to this. So I felt myself like a little anxious, like just get on with it, get to something I haven't seen yet. And it took a while, and that was frustrating to me. But the narrative, so you took that to be like kind of comedic and cheeky, right? That
I saw no trailers though, so maybe that had something. I didn't see a single trailer.
Okay. Every time I went to the movies, they played it. Every time you turn on YouTube, they played it. Like everything from him crashing to that conversation with Lois and the robots in between, like all of that stuff has just been played. Even if you're not looking for it, it's just played. And so that was hard. But from a narrative perspective, what frustrated me about it was I didn't take it to be funny or cheeky. I almost was wondering, like, does James Gunn just not trust the audience to understand the world? Because everything he explained in that crawl felt like it belonged in a scene in the movie. So, for instance, when he's talking to the robots, they could have said, like, oh, what the fuck happened to you? Like, I've never seen you get your ass kicked like this before, because they haven't, right? He's never lost a battle. So from that, you would infer, like, he's never lost before. When Lex Luthor is talking to the National Security Council later, they could have that conversation about most powerful metahuman, 30 years. I'm sorry, 3 years he's been active, and then we've been dealing with him for thousands of years. We've never seen it. And like, I would have preferred a more natural discussion about that. And then the whole conflict that's happening with Baravia, that could have been like, you've got the whole Daily Planet there, like, do it as part of a news story. And that would have been more, to me, natural from a narrative perspective versus like having to read this crawl at the beginning. So that was
So
one.
I think I took that in the opposite way. I think I took that as, how many times do you want to watch Batman's parents die in the alley? You know who this is. You know what this is. And so in the sense of thinking comic booky, if I were to go and say, I want to get into Superman comics, I'm not going to get Superman 1 from 1923 or whatever it is. I'm going to start where the action is in 2025. And so I felt like that's what it was. And I felt like he almost trusted the audience to say, you're going to be able to catch up. I'm going to get you caught up. But because, you know, just in case you were literally born yesterday, like you're a 7-year-old and you don't know who Superman is, he's super powerful and he's getting his ass beat. And I bet you've never seen that before. So for him to start the visual action from him being beat to shit, I thought was like, that is a choice. And that is an interesting choice. Who's doing this?
I liked that. I guess I didn't like the setup for it. I did like the ass beating. The ass beating was good. Because you're right. Until I think probably like Superman 4, I don't think you'd ever really seen that before. Like somebody just manhandle. Well, I'm sorry. What am I talking about? Superman 2.
Right. With the Neil before Zod.
Yeah, all those folks. But in those,
I will say, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay.
Apologize for interrupting. Since I got this invitation at the last minute, I just kind of got some tickets, went after work, was there by myself, and I had an old woman moment that was actually so satisfying that it paid off. When he went and when Lex went into that portal, I at first I was like, wait, is he in a parallel universe testing this on other Supermen? Like, what's happening? I was like, that doesn't make sense. And then I gave the movie time to unfold, and it explained, no, it's a pocket universe, blah, 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 blah. And I was thinking, like, if you would have been with somebody, you would have absolutely leaned next to, wait, what happened? What's this portal? Oh, and the person would have been, just wait, we're both watching the same movie. So I basically was able to have that dialogue by myself. Again, it felt like, okay, he trusted the audience to figure this out. So maybe that's kind of the mindset or the space I'm in, that it wasn't dumbed down, but it wasn't needlessly complicated like some directors' movies can try to be, to almost create a false sense of you're being challenged.
Yeah, I get that. And here's the pushback to my own criticism about it being about him maybe not trusting the audience. There is so much happening in this movie with Baravia in the other country, and then the monkeys in the pocket universe, just the fact that there is a pocket universe, and all of these other, and what's happening with Jor-El and Krypton. And so there is so much happening in it. And again, that to me does feel like a comic book, and there's just so much thrown at you all at once. So I guess I'm of two minds about whether or not I think that he trusts the audience.
There's also a sense of people kind of like the general tenor of, you can't make a Superman in this era because people are too cynical and he's too wholesome. And it's almost like, not only did he, I know I'm going to jump ahead, but I'm going to connect the points. Not only was he able to capture the wholesomeness of Superman, he did it in a way that also captures classic comic movies the way they were originally introduced to the audience at large, versus now where you can't, allegedly, you can't do a very traditional old-fashioned comic book movie because we've seen so many, we're cynical. So I almost think you need that kind of wholesome setup of sort of tropes and a lot of action and a lot of noise, which I still, again, I'm going to jump the gun, no pun intended. Again, but the visual effects, a lot going on, not ugly, not chaotic. So I think he even did that well. It wasn't ugly to my eyes to watch all the fighting and stuff going on.
Okay. So I want to ask you about this. Let's get to the Superman of it all. And with that, like we've seen a lot of these characters before. We've seen Lex Luthor before. We've seen Superman before. We've seen Jimmy before. Title character. We've gotten Tyler Hoechlin and Henry Cavill and a few other people throughout the course of the years. How well do you think that David Cornsweet did with this iteration of Superman?
I will gauge it by how quickly I accepted him as Superman, and it was almost immediate. It's almost like I immediately gave him the benefit of the doubt, and I was waiting for, well, not necessarily actively waiting, but by the end of the movie, there was not a single moment in this movie that I did not believe he was Superman, and that was enough. Nothing took me out of it. From his corniness, even his corniness made sense. They didn't leave him as Clark Kent for too long, which I thought was also an interesting choice. And even comparing this to Batman, because it's in the same universe and we've seen Batman done to death. I do think that's a deliberate choice to focus on the titular hero and not give you a lot of the, alter ego, because it makes the movie different. Yeah. So I guess something you just described about maybe we needed a news story. I think he would have been Clark Kent in that sense. If we're trying to get like the geopolitical backdrop and all of this extra explanation, then you get more Clark Kent. Versus if you're going to have more action, you get more Superman. I don't know if I veered away from answering the question, but yes, I absolutely bought it. He was fantastic.
No, I think that works because for me, I thought that this was even different than, so people keep bringing up Christopher Reeve when talking about, like, I felt like this was, like, I could see it, but it still felt different enough even from that. And one of the things that I loved, and I was smiling, like you said, almost immediately. So once they healed him, when he falls off the gurney and he's like, golly, and then he's yelling at Crypto, not even like yelling, but like he's like upset at Crypto. He's like, what the hey, dude? And it was so natural. And I was, to your point, like I was surprised at how willing I was to just accept this version.
Somebody gave him guff.
Yeah. And it was just like, I just rolled with it. And every time he said one of those comments, it was just old timey. I smiled, and it felt good, which is crazy. Cause to your point about the world that we're living in now, and even the world in which they presented in this, like, we're cynical, and the characters in this are cynical. And just for him to be that person in a cynical world where he's trying to talk to Mr. Terrific and say, like, hey, we could have saved this thing. We could have taken it to a zoo. And Mr. Terrific's like, are you serious, man? And he just like walks away. Like, no one has.
Oh, we got to give Mr. Terrific his own.
Oh, we're getting there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, that's going to be like its own section. But I wanted to get with Superman first. But like, yeah, I was so willing to accept that. But I want to ask you before we move on to the Mr. Terrific of it all. And what?
I do want to say, do you remember the conversations we used to have when I would push back on, you can absolutely make a non-cynical Superman, and these are the reasons? Do you remember that conversation? Probably not. We have lots of conversations about this kind of stuff. Yeah, no. I will remind you. I said, I've lived in the Midwest. Yeah. I've met corny people in the 2020s. Very sweet men raised in Iowa. And I'm thinking about this one particular guy, and thankfully I don't remember his name. He was a therapist with me. Mm-hmm. He was Mormon. He was a reservist. And he might have been, but he was a therapist with me in a prison. So he had this bit of edge because we're there with this very difficult population, but also did not curse, didn't drink coffee, very devout, but had this very just at the edge sense of humor, but probably the nicest, sweetest man who, for all intents and purposes of American patriotism, was a hero. Yeah. And I was, this guy, that's Clark Kent. You can make it. So, because that guy exists. So, and I think my kind of glib criticism was maybe people on the coasts in Hollywood and in New York, they don't often run into like a cornfed Iowa, Nebraska guy who's interesting enough and has interesting things to say enough to talk to. But I feel like that's what they captured. And somebody, a grown adult man in 2025 who would say golly gee and guff has old parents. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what we saw. He has old parents who live in the middle of nowhere. There wasn't a single other person out there. Yes. Oh, his dad's just mushy. I did take issue with, is Kansas the South now? Is that going to be some of that kind of Hollywood, New York? They've never talked to a person from Kansas.
So here's the thing that I got from that. I think it is hard because we are so accustomed to his parents having been like these Easternized kind of versions of what Kansas is. And I think Gunn just leaned real hard into like, no, this is what those people are like. And so to your point, like the accent was probably just like a little bit more than what it should have been. But I think he was really just trying to differentiate.
I'm emphasizing in the past. Yeah. This isn't Kevin Costner
syllable. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's what I took away from it. Cause I was like, I don't know if this was,
and it was fine because they were so sweet.
Yeah. I had a friend of mine who's like, so when we were watching the trailers for it, he could not stand the way that they looked. And I was like, brother. And so I showed him a picture of the family of the year from Kansas that they have online. No. And I was like, this is them in 30 years. Like, look at this picture. And he was like, whatever. Like being wrong didn't change his opinion, but like that's what they look like. I found that to be
Wasn't funny. Diane Lane Superman's mom at some point?
I don't remember.
Who am I? I feel like somebody very glamorous but older was his. Which isn't to say that glamorous people can't come out of the Midwest because Brad Pitt is from Nebraska. Well, you know what? Wow, I'm aging myself. Who's a young person who's a young, good-looking guy who's probably from Nebraska? The point being, I absolutely get that they really wanted to lean into these are just country farm parents who got this baby and were just so full of love. They love that giant baby to death. And I didn't hold on to that criticism. I was just like, interesting accent choice.
Like I think about like Annette O'Toole from Smallville. Like she looks nothing like Like in 30 years, she would never look like that mom. So like I don't know, it's just funny.
She doesn't look like she gives good hugs and makes good apricot jelly. That woman's apricot jelly is award winning.
So I take that point 100%. But moving on from Superman, I'm curious what you think about. So like the Lex, the Lois, and the Jimmy. So we've seen these characters before, time and time again. What did you think of these iterations of them?
Before I say my opinion, I'll ask, because I might not be right about this. Mm-hmm. Does this mirror the first Superman in that the person playing Lex Luthor is the most famous actor in the whole movie and everybody is a newbie? Was Margot Kidder by the time she got to Superman?
I don't think so, but that was before I was born, so I think
me too.
I think that I think you're right. Gene Hackman was probably like I think it's very much
the
like
biggest
Batman
name.
As well. Yeah, so Jack Nicholson,
except for like Marlon Brando is the dad.
It's like a tiny, but but you get Bradley Cooper in this, right? So like, everybody knows who he is. Nicholas Hoult, to some extent, nerds know who he is. But yeah, they're probably the more famous. Well, so I think you've got Nathan Fillion.
That's
so
that's
him, Nicholas Hoult, Bradley Cooper.
But I say all that to say, in terms of the main cast, I didn't recognize a single face as far as like Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen. This is probably the first Lois Lane, including Margot Kidder, who did not absolutely annoy me. I liked her. I thought the running joke with Jimmy Olsen being this very plain looking heartthrob and everybody was like just baffled at why he has all these beautiful women. I was expecting them to say he had contact lenses like Clark Kent's glasses that make people see him in a different way. But I guess they didn't want to close the loop on that joke. It was just like, no, maybe he smells good, he's charismatic, whatever, just get over it. But I thought it was amusing to me. I enjoyed them. I enjoyed how everybody played off each other. I love the how long have they been hooking up at the very end? About a couple months.
And the thing that I loved about that particular joke is it's the idea like everybody knows, right? You think you're keeping this big secret. It's like, no. I've always known. Everybody knows that you're Clark Kent. Like, what are you talking about?
We're literal news reporters. Our attention to detail. You very wholesome guy who thinks he's hiding in plain sight and you're 8 feet tall.
I love that. The idea like, no, because you have to accept that Perry White, Jimmy, everybody else is just dumb. And it's like, no, they're not. They just choose not to pay attention to it.
It makes him more human. It makes that humanity speech he gave that much more salient, that he just sometimes he misses things that are right in front of him. And also office gossip. You always know when people are hooking.
Yeah.
That's just
the thing that makes that funny to me is like, I'm curious how much of that do they know that he is both Clark and Superman? Because then the other question I would have is like, do the glasses, what's the issue with the glasses? Are they just that observant, or do the glasses, are they just not as good as people think? Like, I don't know.
I'm really glad that wasn't the question they answered, because it tickles me. I'm glad they didn't say so. We know it's possible just based on like, they're not stupid people. They're not artificially comic book stupid in order to keep this pretense going. Yeah.
Okay. So those are the main folks. So now we've got, what do you think of the Justice Gang? So we've got Nathan Fillion, we've got Eddie Gathegi, and then we've got Isabel Merced as Hawkgirl.
Hawkgirl.
What did you think?
It took me a minute to even put together that sulky teenager was that screaming maniac. She was amazing watching her scream down on people with that and she dropped that guy out of the sky. And
I'm not Superman.
Which was hilarious. And then the hard cut to the Alka-Seltzer. I thought they were funny. I thought his haircut was ugly.
Do you know who Guy Gardner is?
I do not.
Okay.
I did not recognize any of this Justice group or the
really?
Not Justice
okay.
group, these Green Lanterns, but I'm not a huge Green Lantern person. I mean, I kind of figured out when that green beam came out that I know there's a core and I know there are many of them.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't surprise me that James Gunn would start reaching from kind of the depths into kind of like what was Polka Dot Man? Like you can start pulling from stories that have a weird one-off and do what he's going to do with it. So I didn't find them jarring. I thought they were funny. I thought their dynamic was funny. I love watching them fight.
Yeah.
And how just glib he was, especially with the middle fingers that were smacking the tanks around. Yeah, I thought they were in just the right amount. Not too little, not too much. As far as like their appearances, they didn't overtake anything, but they were there enough.
Yeah.
Their appearance in the end made sense. How is he going to be in two places at once? He has a Justice Gang, not a Justice League, a Justice Gang. So yeah, I liked it.
Okay. And so what's funny about that is if you think about, and I hate to bring this up again. So thinking about the Snyderverse, what was interesting watching the final battle in the Justice League, the Snyder version of the Justice League, you get the feeling like Superman doesn't really need any of these people. Like he could, if he put his mind to it, he could do it all on his own. And it was kind of refreshing watching. It's like, no, he can't. Like he is the most powerful, but he still needs like an entire, he needs a team to help save the world. It's too big just for him.
Yes. So. And the way even the distribution of power in that sense made sense. I'm powerful enough to fight this person to reattach the literal fabric of reality. I'm going to send these guys to fight this human army that they can basically do kind of as passively as Nathan Fillion did, kind of flicking everybody out of the way. And that was another one of those heartwarming moments. When the kids raised the flag and they were calling out for his help. Oh man!
So let me ask you. Oh, it got to you?
Oh yeah.
I was surprised how effective that was. Like the kids, like the hope and the chant coming from the kids, and then the adults are like, yeah, Superman, Superman. And it just the rise of that, and to compare that to other scenes in other movies where they're trying to do the similar effect where people like are wishing for and hoping and wanting for this God to come and save them.
I'll tell you what my buildup was. That interview that he did with that interview / argument that he had with Lois, about geopolitics, where he does sound like he absolutely overstepped his boundaries on a shitty person. But in arguing about should you have engaged in torture on this person to do this thing, there were real people that he saved, and even though he screamed people were gonna die, showing the little boy who is alive because he overstepped, it doesn't excuse his overstepping. Because I still walked away from that thinking about conversations we had about Civil War. That's years and years ago.
You know what's funny? I could not help but think about that. Like your conversation and mine, and the safest hands are our own. Like that was the line that just kept coming to me.
When that interview happened, I said, oh, this is why he invited me on this show.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true.
This is why he wanted me to watch this movie. This is why he pulled me, my dusty ass, off of the shelf. Because he knows we used to have those veteran versus active duty conversations where I was technically which I still hold on to my argument, technically on the wrong side of the MCU version of that argument, which was to say you can't have powerful people just running around doing shit. You have to be able to stop and ask them questions. And I still believe that. I still believe two things can be true at once. He should have a free press challenging him on what he did and making him think about it, while also flying and saving those babies. So
here's what I think is different. And here's where I'll be the lawyer here, and I'll make it make sense for you, I think.
Shock.
I'm gonna help make your argument better, I think. So here's what I think is the difference between Civil War and Superman. In Civil War, I think they left that intentionally gray a little bit. Like you could walk away from that and feel like some kind of way about either side. Here, they made it very clear, like, no, Lex manipulated all of these people into getting into this conflict. And not only that, that became known to the larger populace. And so I think once that happens, I think that changes the calculus about what you would want or expect people to do.
Yes, and if you think about who actually solved the problem, who solved that problem?
The press.
That goofy ass girl taking selfies in front of shit she wasn't supposed to, which I thought that was going to be like a, what do you call it? Like a double cross that she was going to end up being Supergirl. No, she was really just a regular dingbat with ugly toes, with alien toes.
Did we
taking
see
selfies? No, and I was actually kind of like, just like what's his nuts didn't get his, no, not his freaking dude didn't get his tuna melt. And Rocket Raccoon didn't get that guy's arm. Yeah. He kind of throws these things out there. Oh, that would be satisfying to see, but I'm not going to let you see it. Anyway, it wasn't his brute strength. It was intelligence, and it was the news that actually solved the problem, which isn't to say that him saving those people in immediate danger wasn't like that. I'm not here saying that shouldn't have happened because blah, 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 because that's what geopolitics is. But yeah, there's always going to be some asshole behind the scenes manipulating both sides. And I'm actually surprised that it wasn't heavy handed, but I feel like the allegory was pretty, like you can superimpose current things on current peoples and current conflicts. The only unrealistic part was a billionaire being beaten up and taken out in the back of the thing and actually seeing justice. I'm sure I am not right. I'm sure I'm not the first person to say that, but I was like, oh, that's a nice world they live in. Mm-hmm. That's great.
So I've seen that joke with regard to Monsters, Inc. They said the joke was something like, and here's the end of Monsters, Inc., where the billionaire gets hauled off to jail just so they can confirm to you that this is fake. That this isn't real. Oh, yeah, this is fiction. To your point about the Justice Gang, I don't know if you saw this. It just got reported either today or yesterday that James Gunn is considering spinoffs for both Mr. Terrific and Jimmy Olsen.
Yes.
I I don't know what the Jimmy Olsen show would be, but if I look at Peacemaker, and if you could throw like
I loved the season 1 of Peacemaker.
Oh my God. If Mr. Terrific gets a Peacemaker quality show,
that would be legendary. Did Darwin get his Johnny Storm turn Captain America redemption? Because I think he did. I'm sorry, I don't know the actor's name, but I was Eddie like, oh my God, is that Darwin? Do him right. Yep. And they did. He was incredible.
You know what else I saw? I did not know this at the time. So, people are obviously asking him more questions about this stuff now that he's in this. Apparently, Darwin was supposed to get resurrected in a later movie, and it just never happened. And it was like he was upset about what was happening in the movie. And they're like, no, he's going to get resurrected later.
I don't believe that. I believe they said that to him, but I don't believe that they were actually.
100%.
Yeah, I believe absolutely. Because we want you to shut up and actually go along with this. Yep. So I'm going to tell you this thing. Yeah. I've been lied to before. I'm no stranger to deception.
Yeah, so that was funny to hear that.
What did you think of his manner of speaking? The way he spoke?
I've seen a couple of different iterations of it before. It was different. And I don't know if I have enough familiarity with how he speaks on the page. The most familiar I am with Mr. Terrific is from the Justice League animated series from the early 2000s. I'm sorry, Justice League Unlimited. That's when he was in there. And so he didn't talk like that. Like him and Jon Stewart, like basically talked the same. Yeah. At first I was like, how is this going to go? And then I'm just saying, like, but then the more he spoke, I was like, okay, this is fine. This is fine.
When I tell you, I had that same, like, what are they doing? Oh God, no, this isn't going to be the Gigabots and Transformers all over again. He looks like he walked out of a he sounded like he walked out of a blaxploitation, except it was so natural and so soothing. Like he felt like I could listen to him talk like that, like Unc. He came across like Unc. Yeah. Somebody's uncle who was an adult in the 70s still talks like this, where you don't feel like it's affected or it's ignorant or it's just a cadence. It was very sing-song, but also from up here. And like, but he was like, obviously, like, I think, what did the thing say? Like the third most intelligent person in the DC universe and this obviously the smartest person in the movie. So his English was polished, but his cadence was 70s. It's
it's weird.
I loved it, but I loved that it was so satisfying and so soothing. And it's kind of like, just for me being from New Orleans, we have very unusual accents. It's the same satisfaction and almost comfort I feel listening to somebody from New Orleans speak, and it'll probably be jarring and ridiculous to anybody else who didn't grow up there. So I wonder if like people who are not black, who don't have an old black uncle who speaks like this, like, what did they think of this? I just, but I love it. I hope there isn't any sort of backlash or anything weird about him. I don't know. People like
we're our own worst enemy. And then the other, not just the cadence, but like his delivery in terms of like the jokes, because it's one thing to be able to pull off that voice and just interact with the people, but like he was funny.
He was hysterical.
It's just like this deadpan way, like everything he said, like I just laughed my head off. Like when he was
like
telling
on
Lois,
the cusp of condescending, but not quite condescending. Like he just knows like people are just but I you know what I mean? He helped. Like the fact that he helped and he didn't make it a whole thing, and the shit with the garage door.
That was I haven't gotten to that yet. But the part. So like when he said, no, that's what he said. So she was like, you got the saucer? Yeah. He was like, I haven't gotten to that yet. I haven't worked on it yet.
Right.
But I love when she's like trying to explain her emotional problem. He's like, listen, I'm not good with people's emotions.
I don't do
and
emotions.
Then she keeps talking and he's like.
And he turns around like.
She just stopped.
Maybe that's why I didn't think Lois was annoying, because I do that to coworkers, to people. I've been that person. I'm not gonna. I have things to say. I want to talk about this.
Yeah, I just thought that she was just very. It's apparent that she is both capable, but also self-aware, and I
Yes.
like. She was a character, right? She was just a good character, self-aware. She was happy, she was sad, like she had all the emotional dimensions that you would want somebody to have, and she had a perspective and all this. Like she was probably one of the most fully formed Loises that we've seen in a movie. I thought.
We got to see her values. We got to see her objectivity. We got to see her bit of kind of personal humanity. Like I knew this relationship. I knew just I'm not good at relationships
Yep.
because I can't remember how she described herself, but just her own neuroses, which I also identify with. But the fact that like do you really want to interview with me? Because I'm going to nail you to the wall was the subtext. I'm not going to just be nice to you because I love that.
And I also love the like that whole interview scene. I thought was very effective. I thought that was probably some of the best James Gunn writing. Not even just writing, but like the back and forth, like their
it was
body
natural.
language, their chemistry was really good. Like he's trying to stop the tape. He's like, "Where's the button? Like, find the fucking button." Like all of that just felt so natural and good. Like you just like I was really into that, and it's like, oh, this is what Lois and Clark, the show, should have like. This is great. I love this.
And if you've ever been in a relationship with somebody with goofy ass politics, it's like you can see that they cared about each other because they weren't like, it wasn't vicious, but it got very passionate. He's standing up and he's frustrated, and she's like, "We're on the record. How many times do I need to say this to you?" Like, yeah,
he's like, "How do you think this interview is going?" It's going great. I'm doing great.
He's so, for lack of a better phrase, arrogant. He's so sure and so confident in what he did that he's not even taking this interview seriously, and she can feel it. And all of that is just the subtext under that was probably my favorite scene. Other than all the stuff with the dog. How have we not mentioned the dog yet?
Yeah. Because James Gunn always has a dog. What do you think of the dog? Tell me about the dog.
There is no way their mocap dog wasn't an Australian cattle dog, which is what I have, which is why I say that, or a Belgian Malinois. That was the doggest dog I've ever seen. But also, you could just see the chaotic breed of dog. And then when he said, like, I had to get Crypto out of there because he was going to kill my
He's going to kill the cows.
Cows. 100%.
What a shitty dog.
Right. He's not even a good dog. I just, it's like, or even his passion when the dog disappeared. Everything. I probably would have been the last person to expect your favorite part is going to be Crypto the Wonder Dog. It's like, I just wouldn't believe you, except for the fact that I can probably find a home video of my dog doing everything that dog did in that movie, down to launching at people and chewing on things and chewing on people and nipping at people and not taking orders and then sitting down and being cute. I loved it, loved it, loved it. And I would be just as vicious as Superman if somebody took my dog. I would bust into a fucking federal building. Give me my goddamn dog back.
You're
not an animal person.
No. I liked it, but what was funny to me was everything that you're saying, but like when he sat down and was cute, like after he said like, "What the hey, dude," and like Superman starts to walk away and dogs, I expected Superman to go back. And he's like, "Nah, fuck you," and like flew away. I was like, I was shocked.
And then it made sense at the big reveal. It made sense why he tried to tear up the planet to get this dog back, but also at the same time he kept it alive, but didn't really seem to care about it. Also, like the robots, if I was capable of this kind of emotion, I would.
Gary's also a name.
Gary is a name. He gave the kind of, and he called it a foster. Like he even gave it the kind of deference you would for your cousin's dog, where your cousin would absolutely crumble up and die if something happened to the dog. But also, fuck this dog. He's annoying. That's how people feel when they watch my dog. So I can also relate to that too. People don't enjoy watching my dog. They do it because they love me. I don't train and we don't have the boundaries, just like the robot said. My favorite part. One of my favorite parts.
I'm going to tie this together, and it's kind of curious to me. So, like, I don't know how much you know about Superman's origin, especially like in newer stuff. So, like in my Adventures of Superman, I've seen this where the Kryptonians are, they're warlords, and they take over planets and do this other stuff.
Like Omni-Man, kind of.
Yeah. Yep. I was curious how much that change. What did you think about that? And it made me wonder about Supergirl. So it seems like, and I'm speculating too much. I want to know what they're going to do with this version of Kara, because if, she's older than Clark, right? She's a teenager. And so she probably has more memories of Krypton. How much of her attitude about humanity and having to do whatever, blah, 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 and not caring what this dog does to other people played into all of that stuff.
Ooh, I had not thought about that.
Yeah, like why should I train this dog? Like, I don't give a fuck about these humans. We're supposed to be building up harems.
Oh,
harems.
No, now I'm looking out of the window into the middle distance because I want to.
I was wondering what they could do to make this version of Supergirl interesting, but if that is the conflict where she just does not care about these people and she has to turn,
it depends on what you consider him an avatar for, and you could make very comprehensive different Moses type alien person who is like a whole conversation about you can be born somewhere else, but you're of the culture you're from.
Yeah.
Also, mega power people who are so powerful they don't know their own strength, and she's so disconnected from these Earth people that she would be closer to an Omni-Man, where your mom was a wonderful pet kind of person, kind of like what money does to people. When you get to a point where your family is so old and has so much money, you don't understand how groceries work. Which still, if you're still going to empathize with a person, oh my God, I was about to lapse into Kendrick Lamar lyrics. You ain't never been through nothing. So I try to empathize with you, but you never been through nothing. You can do a whole thing there. As far as that being a storyline for his parents, I didn't have strong feelings about it until you gave me these things to think about. Yeah, I think having his parents be benevolent, trying to save their planet and trying to save their son is fine. Also, their parents being megalomaniac, hey man, take on a harem and repopulate this planet would also fit with colonization and capitalism. And you could make that a thing. And so can you actually be a hero for the people when these are your roots? Can you actually help people, Bill Gates, that kind of thing? I could go on for hours because now I'm just rambling and thinking at the same time.
It goes to what his dad says, right? It's your choices. So to your point, you can be from all of those things. That can be your background. What is the choice that you're making? Is the choice that you're making going to be create an AI that is anti-Semitic and do the Sig Heil on stage? Or are you going to your point about other people, build nets to help people avoid malaria and things like that? What choices are you going to make in the world?
You have to be a person who's willing to look inside yourself, which Lex Luthor very overtly was not. You have to be a person willing to look at that humanity, and it's not enough to just give lip service to I make mistakes. You have to have a Lois Lane to tell you need to sit the fuck down and actually think about your actions and not just run off half-cocked doing shit. So yeah, it's choices, but it's also an ability to be self-aware and to reflect on your privilege. That's a dirty word now. Your privilege and power, and always recognizing that even though you can use your power for good, you're still overpowered compared to the people that you're dealing with. And if you have that finger too heavy, you can do more harm than good.
I keep going back to that conversation. It's we want to side with Superman, but she is not.
Yeah, man.
She's not. And
right.
I think that is the brilliance for me. That's the brilliance of that writing, where it's Superman is the hero. He knows what's right. But to write that so well, he didn't do a bad thing. He didn't do a wrong thing. But
it's easy to assume you did it's easy for people to judge the choices by the outcome. And I can never remember what that's called. It's a psychological principle where you can do the right thing and have a bad outcome. That doesn't make the right thing a bad thing. And you can do a bad thing and have a good outcome, and it doesn't make that choice right. And it's a difficult thing for people to wrap their minds around.
Yeah. Man, it was weird. I walked out of this movie and I was like, it's a B. And then the more I talk about it, the higher the score gets.
How funny, because I figured on my second watch it would be an A+ because I walked out of it A- plus. A
that
flat
that
A.
might be true. Because like for me, like I said, it was a solid B, and then I was like, the more I talk about it, I just love the character so much, and I love the themes so much, that I got up to a B plus. Oh, before I end, I want to ask you one more thing. What did you think of the? So this is probably one of the things that stops it for being an A for me. The other Superman. What did you think about that?
Oh, Bizarro. He
So
looked
do
like
you think
Hayden
that that's Bizarro?
Christensen. Absolutely. I just think James Gunn is a smart enough writer to not have him speak.
Yeah.
They gave enough introduction. He's even dumber than you. I was absolutely blown away by. I wasn't expecting to see him in that movie, and I hadn't thought about who was in that suit,
Really?
which was strange. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess just the G.I. Joe generation. Snake Eyes. Maybe he has a face. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe that is his face. No, I didn't take issue with that, because who are you gonna get to? Whoever you get who has the same level of strength in order to hold their own with him is going to be a surprise. Martian Manhunter, whoever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's going to be some sort of like, oh, like the only kind of like, oh, would have been like Batman under mind control. Oh, that's stupid and contrived. So like it made sense.
Or
I'm glad they
Supergirl.
didn't say his name. Yeah.
Under
But
mind
then,
control.
yeah. But then, how did he do that? So that makes him cloning him would make more sense than I captured. If he was Brainiac, yeah, I captured your cousin and that's how she got here. That would make sense. For Lex Luthor, yeah, I have earth science capabilities versus like magic.
Yeah. I think for me was I didn't feel anything watching them fight. And I think that what was frustrating for me was I wanted there to be more of a narrative reason for why the Superman kept fighting. Because at the point where Lex isn't controlling him anymore, why is he still fighting? And for me, it would have been something like, if he was smarter, the frustration of like, hey, I'm coming to the National Security Council meeting. I'm cloned after the most powerful being on the planet, but I'm flipping on lights. I am following this dude around whose head I can crush like grape. I am sitting in a corner next to the server room in this tower. And so like the resentment that you might feel from being the most powerful being on the planet, or cloned after the most powerful being on the planet, but being relegated to this position, would be the thing to me that narratively would make sense, where it's like, all right, now that I'm fighting you, I am going to kill you and take everything from you.
So I feel like there was I can't remember which animated film had Lex make some sort of robot that had everybody's powers in it, and I think they talked it out of wanting to fight.
So
I feel like in
Justice League Justice League Unlimited.
Okay. I feel like that would make more sense. I feel like what I understand about Bizarro is that he is like a literal opposite. He would fight when he does not want to fight. When I realized who it was, I thought, oh wow, Bizarro with long hair isn't hotter than regular Superman. I was like, because I just remember whatever he says is the opposite. It's like Chaos Realm and Order Realm, like a literal. The things he does, they don't make sense because they're always opposite. So in answering that question, that feels like a reach, but if that's what they were going with, like maybe he didn't want to fight, but he doesn't understand himself. Maybe he was just confused and that's what he did. I mean, and people do that. They get angry, they punch, and punching isn't always the answer to the question. I will agree. And it felt like blue lasers. It's an action fight. I will say I was much more moved by him coughing nanobots out of his lungs. That looked like such a human, again, with the Aronofsky-esque body horror that made him feel so like, holy shit, that's gross, but also that's gonna be painful. He's still an organism. He still feels pain. Man, that was nasty. I thought that henchman was she was probably the cartooniest part of it, but like it's just Lex Luthor henchman. So the nanobite lady, I couldn't remember where she came from. Yeah, that's a cool name. STEM geek. So yeah, I just thought but not enough, again, not to take me out of just like it's a Lex Luthor henchman. So some of them are going to be. Otis was very not Otis Burgish.
Not Otis.
He was just like a regular old, just his name was just his old black man named Otis.
Well, which is funny because like that makes more sense to me.
It does.
That felt very deliberate. This idea, like you didn't know Otis was Otis until like
He said Otis.
75% of the way through the movie, you're like, oh, that's Otis. Like,
yeah, all right,
okay,
fair.
But yeah,
I feel like I heard them say Miss Tushmacher.
I was
waiting for the
that's who the
scream.
girl would
Well,
be.
I don't know why. The girlfriend with the toes. She wasn't.
Yes, I thought that's who she would. Like before he said her name, I was expecting that to be Miss Tushmacher.
Then who was Miss Tushmacher?
I don't.
Doesn't matter. I'll check when I watch it again. But yeah, I thought the engineer was probably the cartooniest villain and just way overeager. But I thought everybody else played it neutral for a James Gunn.
Yeah, I was curious what the engineer's motivation was, because there was a line
right.
She started talking about, I let you do this to me so I could destroy. I feel like there was a deleted scene or a line that we
never find out why are you the most gung-ho person there. And maybe that would have made me feel like, okay, that's why she's all over the place.
Yeah. Do you have, so I want to get your letter grade, but before we do you have any other burning thoughts?
What do you think the next direction is? Or do you already know? Because I haven't been following this at all.
I have no idea. I can tell you what I would want. So are you talking about like as far as a Superman 2 or just
sequels, TV shows, all of it, all the above?
All right, so I'll go like this. If the next Superman, I want to go off world. I want to see Superman like outside of the planet, because that's one thing that we never seem to get in the live action films. So I want to see what he does on another planet, how he interacts with people, what happens when he's under a sun that's not quite as powerful. Like, how does he deal with problems and how does he interact with stuff? So there's that. I absolutely want to see more Justice League stuff. So like, I want to see more Metamorpho. I want to see more of like all of those characters, more Mr. Terrific, more. And then I'm really curious, how does Batman integrate into this world? So we already know we're getting a Brave and the Bold version of Batman where it's an older Batman with a Damian Wayne. So how does that version of Batman interact with these characters? And so I want to know. So that's that. But I don't know for sure how any of that stuff is going to play out. But yeah, that's me. What about you?
I don't know the next direction, but what I do hope and what I'm confident James Gunn can do is story first, everything else later. In terms of he doesn't seem like a person who, well, we're doing this sequel, so it has to be a Batman. There has to be a this person. There has to be, and I'm gonna jam them in to just any way they fit, even if it's awkward and fan servicey. I feel like everything is always going to be in service of a story, which is more entertaining, so you can focus on what's happening, and then the things that kind of get incorporated in don't feel as fan servicey. They feel like, yeah, that would be a part of this universe. Like when they were having the argument, and the eye was the lights behind them. Was like eye guts.
The interdimensional imp.
Right. So yeah, I trust that the story will always come first and will always be engaging. And I feel like whatever he does after, if he has to bring in Batman, fine. But like, I don't think it's okay.
Well, and
this is as a Batman fan.
Yeah, I think it'll be difficult, but I really want to see how they do it. But to your point, like about story first, the first official project from this relaunch of the DC universe wasn't a live action Superman. It was Creature Commandos as a cartoon. And so to your point about story first, I don't know if you've seen it. It's on HBO Max. Check that out, because it gives you kind of like his perspective about story first, these characters living in this world.
You know what? I want to self-correct. Entertainment first. Like I want to make this entertaining versus I want you to feel nostalgia. Like there's a word, there's something I'm trying to capture in terms of, or even just writing first. Like you see, I mean, does that make sense though?
Here's what I would say. I don't know if this is true. I think it was who's Ghibli Studios? Crap. Who's the guy? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Who's the creator?
I don't remember his name, but I'm seeing his face interviewing about why he doesn't do a particular thing.
Miyazaki. God damn.
Yep.
Yeah. So exactly what you're saying. that conversation, I think he was having it with somebody from Pixar. It was either Pete Docter or somebody else. But he was asking Miyazaki, like, when do you think about the audience when you're creating whatever? He's like, I don't. And so I don't know if this is true, but sometimes when I watch James Gunn stuff, I think he's doing this for him. What does he think is entertaining and fun and interesting? And then, like, if you like it, you like it. But like when I think about the needle drops and the action scenes that he's doing, he's like, this is what I think is cool. Hopefully you think it's cool. And,
right.
And because the thing that makes me think that the most, and it's almost a Tarantino-esque thing about it, this is the music that I think is fun and cool and goes along with this. So like, hopefully you like it too. I'm gonna bring you along for this ride. And it just so
I think Jordan Peele said something similar. Like, I think his writing advice was write what you want to see. Like, write the story you wish had been told, and then everything else. So yeah. We're on the same page in that aspect. I don't know what word. I'm sure there's a German word or a Japanese word to capture the essence of what that is. Because I feel like story brings us to full circle to the beginning of our conversation that in some areas it didn't feel tight. So I'm not talking about the literal script. I mean, his mechanism for delivering his art. I feel like that's the base, and then everything else. I wonder if there's a character that'll make that make sense. That's how I'm going to fit that. I'm not going to put blah, in here just because you want to see it.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yep. I agree.
I hope that's what happens.
Hopefully.
But yay. A. Flat A.
Flat A. Okay. This is the strongest B+ that I could give something. Like, the strongest B+. So yeah. So Tanya, thank you. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It was so fun. I missed this. Do you have any socials that are open that you want people to find you on? You can say no.
No.
And you can.
I have a YouTube with videos of that chaotic with my version
dog.
of Crypto the Wonder Dog. So if anybody wants, I have receipts that Australian cattle dogs act just like that, and it's Doc 108 something. So that wasn't helpful at all.
Look for the dog, folks. And
look for the dog.
Find me at the Quasi Scott on most socials, and hopefully we'll be back next week. I don't know what we're talking about, but we'll be back with the thing. So we'll catch
with the regular cast. Bye.
Yeah, hopefully.
Woo.
Hasta lasagna.
Don't get any on ya.
Yes.
Right. You're still doing lasagna? That's so quaint and cute.
After the fucking last Mission Impossible, I feel like I need to.
I haven't even seen it yet because I was so disappointed with the first half of it. I just haven't, which is unheard of. I haven't been more like, well, let me back. I was angry at 2, but I can't recall ever being that meh. I was like, that's fun, I guess. I guess that was a Mission Impossible. I didn't even feel like closing the loop.
I need you to see it. I really want to get your opinion on it. I just want to hear. I just want to hear what you think, even if it's just like angry yelling. Like, how could you make me watch that thing?